Hello, welcome to Retro Core's Gamer Pickups. It's been so long since we did one of these shows. What is it? 5, 6, 7, 8 months? I know it's been a long time, I know that much. So there's a lot to show you, so I'll stop yapping and let's get into it. So let's get straight into it. We've got games spanning over 3 decades. So let's try and do this in one take, starting with the new stuff. First up, we've got some Xbox One titles. This is Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I am very aware of the controversy with this game, although since I live in Japan, controversy here doesn't exist. Now, I know a lot of people said they were going to boycott this game because of the controversy, but you know, think about all the people that made this game. Think about all the people that put a lot of effort into making this a very, very enjoyable RPG. Now, personally, I don't really care about the Harry Potter world or franchise. In fact, I've never read the books, and I've only glanced at the movies when they've been on TV. However, this is an extremely beautiful and good open world RPG. Definitely recommended. And if you're going to play it, get on the Xbox Series X, because if you've got a V-Sync monitor, you're going to be sorted. Great game, definitely worth trying out. Something that's not so great is the reboot of Saints Row. It's okay, it's a pretty decent action game, as you can see up there, but the thing is, once you've seen one Saints Row game, you've kind of seen them all. It doesn't do things as good as GTA, and it's okay at best. In fact, I kind of got bored with it. Usually with these type of games, get the code while you can. You know, you try and get everything you can. You try and find all the secrets, everything. But with this one, it just became boring. Okay, if you can get it cheap. Now, something that is okay, and is fairly cheap, is A Plague Tale Requiem. Now, this is a beautiful looking game. Now, what's really special about this one, not only does it look beautiful, but it's got a free camera on it. And it's kind of weird because the camera lets you go out of bounds very, very easily. It's a shame it doesn't come with any manuals or anything, but then again, most games don't. But as I was saying, the camera lets you go out of bounds and you can see all the, you know, outer world stuff, even some things left there like T-pose models you can find, dev cubes. You could see things stored off into the distance. It's kind of crazy. They've actually left that free-form camera in the game. I wonder if that was an afterthought or a bug and they completely forgot about it. Anyway, definitely worth getting hold of. A Plague Tale Requiem. Beautiful game and very entertaining, with some good acting in it as well. More than can be said about Saints Row. Staying with the Xbox, we have got No More Heroes 3, Day 1 edition no less. And let me tell you that this is crap. Yes, the original No More Heroes was very, very good. I had a lot of fun with that. No More Heroes 2, yeah, it really was cut back. The No More Heroes game on the PlayStation 4, basically just a lot of mini games. Okay, I guess. This, bare minimum, yeah. It's a shame as well because the first No More Heroes was a fantastic game, really, really worth playing. But this one, you could tell it was made on a budget. Now, you travel around the worlds. The worlds are very, very sparsely populated, if populated at all. It's like driving around a ghost town, and the maps are tiny. There's not very many places you can go to. It's extremely limited. But what is good is you do get quite a bit of buff with this package. So we even get a little booklet, which is kind of rare these days. And we can see all sorts of information in here. Now, of course, this is the import version, so it is in English. But, you know, that's nice to see. Quite often these days we don't get anything with our games, so there's that. Also, we have the No More Heroes 3 soundtrack. Quite a few tracks on there, as you can see. never listened to it because music's not that good. Let's see what else do we have in here. We have a mini number plate from Travis's bike that he obviously got made to look like the one from Akira. And there we go, we got his number plate there, or license plate. Very, very thin, you could bend that easily. And at the very bottom, we have the obligatory art book, The Art of No More Heroes 3. Which, to be fair, is pretty nice. We got a lot of good stuff in here. Character designs, costume designs. Nice. But overall, the game seriously is lacking in quality. It's one of those games, it wants to be a big boy game, but you know, it's severely lacking in a lot of content. So sadly, cannot be recommended, unlike the original No More Heroes, which is absolutely fantastic. Alright, moving down one step in the generations, we've got the Simpsons game. Now this was probably the first Simpsons game that was actually really, really good. All the original voice cast is in here. Graphics for the time were extremely well done. It did look like you were playing an interactive version of the TV show. Unfortunately, the controls are a little bit stiff, and even back in the day they were not the best. But these days, yeah, they do suffer a little bit more than they did back then. But still, if you can put up with the controls, and they're not that bad to be honest, this is a very good Simpsons game, and probably the best Simpsons game available to date. Well, apart from the, what's it called, Hit and Run. Now that's very good as well. But besides that, this is the only other Simpsons game actually worth playing in my opinion. Really, really good game. Just a shame the controls are not as tight as they could have been. More Xbox 360 here with Max Anarchy. This is by Platinum Games, and as you'd expect, it plays just like Platinum Games other games. They all play exactly the same. Now I do believe Bayonetta is a hidden character in this one, although I haven't played it enough to get Bayonetta available. Oh, there she is, there's the code. Try and redeem that if you can. Don't think you will be able to though, because I've already used it. But yeah, I haven't played it enough to actually make use of Bayonetta. And yeah, this came from a time when we did actually get instruction books with our games. Very, very nice thick instruction book. The game is pretty good to play. It's typical of Platinum Games. Full on action, lots of combos, things like that. Over the top violence. But check it out if you can get it cheap. Now something else I got cheap was this. This is Burnout Paradise, the Ultimate Box. And you know what? Can't say I'm a fan. It's okay, it looks good, it sounds good. But I don't, just something about it. I mean, roaming around, picking races whenever. I don't know, it's just not for me, and the story sucks. And every time you boot it up, you gotta listen to Guns N' Roses' Paradise City. And I hate that song. And I hate it even more now, because every time I play this game it plays. But this game does have its fans, so you may be one of them. Check it out. You gotta admit, it does look pretty good up there in the video. Okay, knocking down another generation. Time for Wii. And this is No More Heroes, the original. Alright. Now, I did have this a long time ago, and I sold all my Wii games. But I've started getting some Wii games back. Now, unfortunately, this one does not have the instruction manual. Although it does have this little leaflet at the bottom here. For some DS game. Flower, Sun, Rain. Yeah, great. But that's okay, because this only cost me 100 yen from hard off. And the disc, as you can see there, is absolutely perfect. No scratches or anything like that on the disc. It's mint. So No More Heroes, if you've never played it, is a game that you really should get. It's one of the better games on the Wii. Now, this also came out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Unfortunately, on those machines, the loading is beyond acceptable. It's It's terrible. It's pathetic. It's like 4 times longer than the Wii. Now, the game does look better on those consoles, but the loading just kills it. So it's worth playing on the Wii because it's a lot more snappier. Definitely worth checking out. Now let's knock down another generation, PlayStation 2. Here we go with Nebula Echo Knight. Now, I've never actually opened this one, as you can see. Let's take a look inside. This came from Yahoo Auctions. I think it cost me a couple of hundred yen, maybe like 300 yen. Take a look inside. Ooh, a little bit dusty there. Oops. Alright, let's see the quality of the disc. Yeah, not bad at all. A little bit of dust on there, but soon wipe that off. No scratches. Now this game, as you can see from the video up in the corner, is basically some sort of adventure horror game set in space. Now while I can't comment on the game, it certainly does look quite dark on the preview video. Whether it's any good or not is another thing. However, it is by From Software, as you can see there. So that is a promising sign. Okay, let's drop down another generation onto the original PlayStation. Starting off with Vampire Hunter D from JVC or Victor. Ooh, bit of a ghosty looking CD there. Works perfectly fine, mind you. Now this is basically a 3D action game, and quite a good one as well. Now I wish I had some video footage to show you of this, but unfortunately I'm a bit too lazy to go and get some. So you'll just have to make do with the screenshots in the manual here. Now the game itself is fully 3D. The backgrounds move around in 3D, and it's a pretty decent action adventure game. Try and think of the N64 Castlevania, but not as sucky, and with a camera that's a lot better as well. Mix that up with a bit of Resident Evil and you've got yourself Vampire Hunter D. Pretty decent title all round. Need to fix the case on that one, it's a bit scratched up, isn't it? Now something that's not decent is this. This is Vehicle Cavalier, and this sucks big time. Now I buy a lot of PlayStation games just for the sake of seeing what they're like because they're cheap. And sometimes they're pretty good and sometimes they suck big time, like this. Now the idea behind this game is you build a mech, you take it to the battlefield and you battle out against the enemy. It's okay, but the thing with it is that it doesn't offer anything of originality. It's very, very, how can we say, plain. There's nothing in it that makes you scream and shout, whoa, I've got to play that game. But I guess if you're into making your own robots and then using them to battle other robots, give it a try. You could do a lot worse. You could have RoboPit, for instance. Actually, that's a good way to think of this. It's RoboPit 2.0. Now here's a game that runs in the PlayStation's higher resolution. This is Floating Runner. As you can see up there from the video, it is a 3D action platform game. Now this one in Japan can cost quite a bit of money. Not crazy money, but it's not exactly one of the cheaper games. However, you can find copies that are a little bit tatty like this, and you can get them for about 500 yen, which is not bad. I don't know if you can see there, but the manual's got some purple gunk on it. And it's a bit creased. Yuck. Now what makes this game still stand out in this day and age is most of it is flat shaded, as you can see in the video. But also I do like the character art on it and the style. Unfortunately, the angle at which the camera points at does make it a little bit difficult at times to judge jumps. So I think they put the camera like that to stop, pop up in the areas, which is a shame because if you had a more behind the view camera, I think this would be a lot better to play. And yeah, the disc again is a little bit dusty, not too scratchy, but it's definitely being put through one of those machines. You can see the pattern on it. Yeah, one of those machines that polish the discs. Now, talking about polishing discs, here's a game which I found in the street. You're not going to believe this. I was walking home one day and this was just thrown to the side in the middle, in the street. And yeah, the case is rotten. And I've definitely got to change this out. And the instruction manual's all tatty. The disc itself, yeah, it's scratched. And, well, it's nice it's got a foam pad under there, but yeah. Didn't stop the disc from getting scratched to death. However, it does work perfectly fine. This is a King of the Bowling, and it's a fairly reasonable bowling game for your PlayStation. Graphics are nothing amazing, but they do the job, and I have to admit I did play this for about half an hour and had some fun with it. For absolutely no money whatsoever, cannot complain. Then what I'll do is I'll change out the case, give that disc a nice clean, and it should look a lot better. Another PlayStation game bought just for the sake of it because it was only 100 yen is Topolo. Now this is a weird one. Basically what we have here is a digital Lego maker. I suppose that's the best way you could describe it. You have these bricks and you build things with the bricks and you put them in some world and just let them do their thing. So yeah, that's all there is to it. It's not a game. I wouldn't call it a game. It's more like, oh, we've got some cards and stuff. It's more like, I don't know, some sort of digital substitute for Lego. It's okay, but you know, if you're going to build things, why not build them with real Lego bricks? Oh, and for all those people that say Legos, there's no such word as Legos. It's Lego. Lego is non-countable. It's pieces of Lego. So if you've got 2 pieces of Lego, that's what you say, not 2 Legos. I don't know. English language is getting ruined. Anyway, that's that one. That is Topolo. Another random buy. This is Wild Boater. What a title, Wild Boater. Basically, you're in a kayak, or is that a canoe? I think it's a kayak. Canoes are bigger, aren't they? And you're basically going down the rapids. Interesting title. This one was extremely cheap and surprisingly came with the spine card. Got a bunch of Wild Boater stickers here. The disc is absolutely perfect and not a mark on the disc. And the manual is one of those weird ones where it folds out. As you can see, it's not going to all fit on the camera, but you can get an idea of what it's like. Look at that. Yeah, there's the characters down the bottom. As for how it plays, well, it's okay. It's certainly not going to win any awards, but it's a nice diversion. Now, something which is a really weird diversion is this. This is Mad Panic Coaster. Now, you may have not seen this, and that's because this game is rare and is bloody expensive. This particular copy cost me 9,800 yen. Use xe.com if you want to figure that out in your own currency. And it's not even mint. Look at that. The case is dirty. It's scratched. So I'm going to have to change the case on it, but that's not a problem. Basically, all you do in this game is you control the coaster and you take it along the roller coaster track and avoid obstacles. And you can shoot things as well. The disc is a little bit dusty, so that needs a good wipe down. So even, you know, something that's not absolutely mint, this game is still rather expensive. However, thankfully, the manual is in pristine condition. It's got a very interesting Western style artwork to it. Definitely going for the overseas comic book look, I would say. The music is kind of weird, and it's more like a rock. Yeah, it's got a weird soundtrack, and the whole game is just absolutely bizarre, as you can see in the video. But if you do have the chance of playing this one, I certainly do recommend picking it up. It's not cheap, so maybe you might want to burn a copy if you can find an ISO of it. And don't ask me, because I'm not going to rip my game, so you can all pirate it. Alright, a couple more PlayStation games to go. Here's one that was recommended to me. I think it was on the RGB forums. This is Digital Glider Airman. And this is basically a flight simulator using gliders. Another one that came with a spine card. And yet another one that's perfectly in mint condition. Now this game is extremely tough. It is not the type of game you're going to, put in your machine and get straight into it. You do have to learn the physics of gliding on the wind. As you can see, it tells you all about that here in the manual. The game does take a lot of learning. There is quite a steep learning curve to it. And in fact, it's very likely that a lot of people on the first try will not even get off the first stage. But here's a hint. Don't touch anything and you'll be fine. You'll pass the first stage. Now, unfortunately, if you're not, how can we say, too up on wind physics, you may find this game very difficult because everything is in Japanese and it is a little tough to understand. However, I'm sure there must be some player guides out there that can help you understand this one. And if you can find those players' guides, then definitely give this one a try. Definitely worth trying out. Very nice, relaxing game. And the last one on the PlayStation, we got Tatsunoko Fights. Basically, this features characters from various Tatsunoko animes and puts them in a one-on-one fighting game. And a pretty decent fighting game at that. Now, my favorite, as you can see, the disc's actually in the machine at the moment. Now, my favorite characters, I should say, are the Gatchaman characters, or Battle of the Planets, as we call it in the UK, or G-Force, as it's called in the United States. So we've got all those characters in here, and including the bad guy. Classic, I remember him from when I was a kid. So here you can see the different animes that are featured in the game. So we've got Battle of the Planets there, and Gatchaman in Japanese. This is a Kashan, whatever that is, no idea, never seen that. We've got another one. Horiman, don't know. Tekagan, Tekaman. Tekaman? Oh, Tekaman Blade, right, I know that. This is a game of Tekaman on the Super Famicom, and it is bloody awful. It's a really shitty shoot 'em up by Interbeck. So yeah, they're the animes that are covered in this game. And yeah, again, it's not a really expensive game, but it's not a super cheap game either. Definitely worth checking out if you can find a copy. Very entertaining. I'm moving down another generation with the Super Famicom. In English, this is known as Golden Fighter, but this is the Hyper version, and it sucks big time. No, this Hyper version sucks. The original version sucked even more. Basically, this game it's got the worst animation ever. You see up there, it's awful. What Culture Brain have tried to do is jam-pack so much stuff into this game that they haven't focused on quality for any single part of it. It's hilarious. So we got a one-on-one beat 'em up with a tournament mode. As you can see, the cartridge is in really nice shape. I've still got the original baggie for it as well. Look at that mint. So as I was saying, yeah, you got a one-on-one fighting beat 'em up, Street Fighter style. Then you got a scroll and beat 'em up with a story, with the laughable animation. You got tournament modes, practice modes, all sorts of modes. But the thing is, none of them are particularly good, and it makes you wonder, why didn't they just put all their effort into one mode and make a really good game? But then again, I think I know why. Because every game Culture Brain, I should say, have put out is pretty substandard. Well, not every game, but pretty much every game. If you can find it cheap, pick it up for a laugh, but don't be expecting a quality game. Another one-on-one fighter here on the Super Famicom. This is Hana no Kenji. Now, Hana no Kenji is based upon a manga of the same name, and this is a very slow but interesting one-on-one beat 'em up, and a very hard one as well. Think of Samurai Showdown, but on a budget with massive borders. The game actually runs in 16 by 9. It's tiny, the actual playing area. As you can see, the cartridge is in good shape. It hasn't yellowed on the back or anything like that. It's in very nice condition. No baggie for this one, unfortunately, but the manual is in pretty decent condition as well. A little bit scuffed up on the corners, but not too bad. Now, this game does have a very intensive story mode on it. All the menus, all the text, all the options, everything is in Japanese. So you are going to miss out on a lot if you don't understand what it's saying. Now, the one-on-one beat-em up section, as I mentioned, is pretty slow. And as you can see here, we got a good variety of moves. Thing is, learning how to get these moves out before the AI kicks your ass is not that easy. So it is going to take a bit of practice. And as you can see from the screenshots there, they are 16 by 9. It's a 16 by 9 game running in a 4 by 3 aspect ratio. Actually, I'm quite amazed at how slow it is, considering how much of the screen is just black bars. But what is nice is some of the effects. See this stage here, this stage right here. This bridge has some line scroll and parallax. So when you jump up, the bridge actually has perspective. So you can see more the top and the bottom of the bridge, you know, as you're jumping up and down. It's very nicely done. I think it goes left and right as well, if memory serves me right. So some stages are quite nice, and the music is reasonable as well. Definitely a curiosity, and maybe not a fighting game for the hardcore fighting game fan, but worth a look if you can find it cheap. Unfortunately, I don't think you will be able to. Something else which you won't be able to find cheap, at least here in Japan, is the Combat Tribes. Or is that the Combat Ribes? Bit of a weird one, that one, isn't it? Guess they share the tea. This is an arcade conversion by Technos, and I'm very happy that the seller actually gave me one of these protective cases with this one. Very nice of him, or her. So let's see if we can get the game out of the box. It is a little bit on the scruffy side here on the corners. You can see that's a little bit beaten up. Now, I know a lot of people might be out there saying, what do you mean that's in mint condition? But, I mean, by Japanese standards, this is not mint condition. This is, well, it's used, isn't it? It's definitely not mint, but it's not bad. It's acceptable. Now, inside, we do have a mint condition game. As you can see, we've got the original baggie with the game there. No resident cards, no registration card. But we do have a very, very clean manual. Always good to see a very clean Super Famicom manual. The game itself is more of a methodic, slow-paced beat 'em up. It is kind of interesting. You can do lots of different combinations, as you can see here. Jump on people, smack their head into the ground, swing them around, knee them, grab two people, smack their heads together. It is kind of interesting, the combinations that you have. And compared to the arcade version, the Super Famicom version is pretty decent. It's not bad at all. Quite feature packed, to be honest. So that's that. And at the back of the manual, you can see a list of different Technos games as well, which is pretty cool to see. Some Game Boy titles on there, Famicom titles as well. So as well as software, I did get some new hardware as well, starting off with this. This is the Super Pro 64, or the Super 64 Pro Light Flicker Effect. Yeah, it's got a little LED up here that lights up, and it's kind of bloody annoying, to be honest. This is an EverDrive knockoff. Now, I would have got a real EverDrive. However, times were a little bit tough, so I ended up with this. Now, I do support Crix. I have loads of Crix's EverDrives, Mega Drive version, Super Famicom version, Master System version, which I converted into a Japanese compatible version, Game Boy, PC Engine, lots of Crix's stuff. If you can afford it, get his original stuff first. But yeah, this is a kind of a knockoff one, I presume. Well, not presume, it basically is a knockoff one, isn't it? But it is a Nintendo 64 flash card. Now, why did I buy that? Well, because, as some of you may know, I went and bought a Nintendo 64. Now this Nintendo 64 is RGB modded. I RGB modded it myself. There's a video on that. Put a link in the video description down below. And of course, it has the jumper pack in there, the one with the extra memory. So there's that. Now, because I got a Nintendo 64, I had to get some Nintendo 64 pads. Because I don't like the original pads. I know a lot of people will be like, what's wrong with you? But they're not for me. So I got these. These are from AliExpress. Gamepad, joystick, N64. You actually get two in a box. Got a bit of English on the back there, a couple of other languages. And they were very cheap. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like $20. No, less, $15 I think for two. And they kind of just jam-packed in there. So let me show you one of the controllers. So this is one of the actual controllers. The ones I got were both black. And as you can see, they are kind of like a Y-Bird knockoff. They got a nice long cable on them, as you can see. About 1.5 meters of cable. And I've been using this now for, oh God, how long? At least 6 months. And I've got to tell you, I have had not a single issue with it. The analog stick is responsive. It doesn't have a massive dead zone. It works really well. The buttons feel just like a real official Nintendo 64 controller. The D-pad is a bit mushy. The D-pad is not good. Basically, you can be pushing, for example, left here, and you may slightly move your finger up and or your thumb up, and you'll move up as well. So I'm going to mod these. I think what would be best if I put like a little ball bearing in the center to give it a nice pivot point. That would make it a lot better. It's not, well, I was going to say it's not mushy. It is a bit mushy, but it also has a nice click to it as well. And as you can see, we've got shoulder buttons here with the Z trigger on both sides, which is very handy. And of course, there's a slot to put in your memory card. An official memory card here. Fits in just fine. Definitely recommended. As I said, they came from AliExpress. There's numerous sellers selling these. So just go to AliExpress, put in N64 controller, and you'll find them. But yeah, as I said, be warned, the D-pad is not the best. It needs a pivot point put in there, which I think I will do. And finishing off this collection of buys, I have these two nondescript boxes, which both came from Amazon Japan. Yeah, look at this, look at that. Now in, which one is it? I think this box here, we have, if we can get it open, a hard drive. Now I have opened this. This is a Seagate hard drive. Let's see, what size is it? It's a 1 terabyte Seagate hard drive. Okay, so we got that. That is official. But why do I have that? It's a SATA hard drive. Well, mainly for this. This is a nice kit, which will actually comes with a free a MacBoot memory card as well. Now what this will let me do is attach a SATA hard drive to a PlayStation 2, full-size model of course, and as you probably guessed because it came with this, this is used for installing all your ISOs onto the hard drive over here. So basically this will turn my PlayStation 2 into a gaming juggernaut. Lovely stuff. I like the way it's got a do not connect phone line, connection line, telephone, whatever that says. I don't think that's English. No, that's not English. But do not connect telephone line. Well, you can't, can you? That's weird. But yeah, I'm gonna get this all set up and install it into my big fat PlayStation 2, which has been sitting in the corner for 5 years doing nothing because I use a slim version. And yeah, install a couple of ISOs onto this hard drive over here. Nice stuff. So there you have it, my gaming pickups for the last God knows how many months. I'm pretty sure I've got some other stuff lying around which I've completely forgotten about, but there's quite a few titles there, don't you think? Anyway, You guys have been sending in your pictures to share with everybody else. Very sorry it's taken me this long to actually make use of your pictures. But now it's time to take a look. So let's take a look and see what you guys have been buying. See ya.